To this tutorial where we are going to see in how many ways we can make the instances of threads and how can we start those. So let's begin by our first method, which is by implementing the runnable interface. So let's create a class. I will name it thread1. Here we go, and here I'm going to implement runnable interface. And I'll have to override it's one of the method which is public void run, and I'm going to print a message here as system.println, and here what I'm going to print is the name of the thread and I'll print a simple message is running. So this is one of the way how we can create an instance of a thread. Well, I mean make a class which will implement this runnable interface, and we will override its run method. So if we make a instance of this class, and if uh, if we make an instance of a thread by using this class, we can start the thread, and the content which is inside its run method is going to be executed. We'll see how it is done. And the second way is to create a class by extending the thread class. So let's do it that way. I'll make a class, name it thread2, and I'm going to extend thread class. So here also I'll override the method public void run which is there in the thread class. So I'm going to override this method. How we can test it is I will annotate it with override. So here we go, and here also I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy this same thing and I'm going to paste here. I'll print the name of the thread and a small message. Third, I will test this. So I'll make again a class, name it test thread, and what I will do here is I'm going to now create the instances of these threads. Let's see how. So the first one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a instance of thread. Now I will pass a new instance of this type here as new, like this, and I'm going to give the name of the thread as thread1. So I have created the instance using this class, instance of thread. Secondly, I'm going to create an instance of this thread2 because it is already extending this thread class. So I can just choose thread2 somewhat like this. Thread2 is equals to new thread2. That's it. And I'm going to give this a name, say thread2 dot set name. I'm going to name it as thread2. and then I'm going to start this. Remember, here we have just created the instance of the thread. Just by creating the instance, the content which is there in the run method will not be executed unless we start a thread. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the thread as thread1 dot start. Similarly, I'll do for thread2 dot start, somewhat like this. Now my this test class is itself running in a thread. So let's see, I'm going to get something printed from this thread as well. Why not the same thing, the name of this thread, and we'll see, and a small miss. So now I'm going to run this program and let's see what's the output. So there we see main is running, thread 2 is running, and thread 1 is running. So now to thing to observe is main, from where this name came. I didn't give the name of the of this main thread. So you got it. The thread which is the first thread from the my main class or my main method, public static void main. So the name of this thread is main. It is by default. So let's do something here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create thread dot let's say current thread dot set name, and I'm going to give it a new name, custom main. So now if I run this, let's see what I'm going to get. See, now the name of the thread has changed to custom main. Okay, so now what about the rest two threads? Thread 2, where we have extended the thread class, given it a name as thread 2. So we say thread 2 is running, and the same goes for thread 1. So by this we can see that we can create instances of thread in two ways. First way is by implementing the runnable interface, and the second way is by extending the thread class. uh, People generally prefer the first method by which is by implementing the runnable interface, because as we know that multiple inheritance is not allowed in Java. So if we extend a thread class, then we won't be able to extend any other class. And if we just want to get something done inside this run method, it's a bit reasonable to implement this runnable interface and make use of it. So this was all about creating the instances of thread via two different mechanisms and starting them. Thanks a lot.